the next thing we're going to do is, well, actually, we're just going to start to populate our cover sheet. So I only want a couple of very simple things for our cover sheet for our purposes. Okay, so we're going to do the view that's in the upper left-hand corner. That's a view of our building. We're going to add our sheet index, and we're going to add a vicinity map. Okay, I'm going to keep it really simple for this stage. In order to create that 3D view, what we need to do is, well, we'll start with the 3D view. Okay, we'll just leave it at that for this one, for this purpose. So in order to create that 3D view, I'm going to jump into like a level 1 floor plan view. That's something like this. It doesn't matter if you do it on a live floor plan that you have on a sheet or if you do it on this one. Okay, all we're going to do is establish where our 3D view is being taken from. So you go up to the View tab, and you open up this 3D view settings, or rather the 3D view types, I should say. So there's the default 3D view, which is whatever opens up when you click the house button, whether it's that house button or the one that's in your top left hot button bar. Then there's the walkthrough, and then there's, and that's mostly for like animated walkthroughs and stuff like that. But then there's also the camera. What the camera does is it creates a 3D view from wherever you place, like as if you're kind of grabbing the Google Maps guy and you're dropping them into your project somewhere. Okay, so it kind of has a standard height of a certain, I think it's like 5.5 feet or 6 feet or something like that. So the way this functions is you basically grab a camera like you're dropping the Google Maps guy, and then you pick a position somewhere outside of the building, wherever you want to look at your building from. So I click here, and as I pull my mouse across, you'll see that it has these 3 lines. The middle one is a center line. That's exactly where you're looking. And then the other ones are your field of view. So how wide is that view going to show? So if you pull it short, I want you to be aware that that is your view range. So everything will be cut off up to that point. It'll basically just pretend like nothing beyond that point exists. So you need to make sure that whatever you want to see is encapsulated within that element. So I'll click, and it'll show me the 3D view of my building. Okay, now I happen to have gotten very lucky, and I pretty much got the view that I wanted. But you can change a few things. If you go to, select the little bar there. Actually, no, not that. Here we go. So under your view properties, there's a subsection called camera, and this camera subsection allows you to change a few things just kind of just by typing in new text. So if I want to change the eye elevation to make it a little more dramatic, say 3 feet tall, I can do that. You type in 3 feet. And then if I want it to kind of look up on my building a little bit, I can change the target elevation. So if the target elevation is 10 feet, that changes the viewing angle a little bit. Now it doesn't look like much here. If I move in on the project, it'll change things a little bit. In order to move my camera, there's this thing on the right-hand side called the navigation wheel. Click on this little button, and it looks like this. And as you kind of move your mouse around, it'll follow you. But the functions are really important. There's orbiting, panning, zooming, and then there's these things in the middle for centerization, how to look, whether or not you're moving up and down, walking, stuff like that. Okay, there are a few that you're probably going to want to look at mostly. Zoom just allows you to kind of zoom in and out of the point that you clicked. So that's very important. If I click over here, it's going to zoom in and out on that side. And if I click over here, it's going to zoom in and out on that side. And then the up-down is going to kind of change your height within that particular space. Okay, so that modifies. Notice how it changed my eye elevation and my target elevation. If I walk, it allows me to just kind of move throughout the space. Unfortunately, it makes you turn left and right before you move forward. You don't really get the opportunity to use like the WASD and move around like you're in a video game, which would be nice. Be really nice. Yeah, so I hope that happens.
View 4 feet expanded.
Yes.
Does that have to...
Good question. Can the viewport be expanded? So what happens is if I walk forward, that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? I want to create a super dramatic sort of scene. If I walk forward, it kind of cuts everything off. I can move myself sort of up or down to kind of adjust that, but I don't see anything outside of that. Click the little X to close the what do you call it? Navigation wheel. Yeah. And then what you can do to change the view extents is you just kind of select this box and you can pull on things, left, right, bottom, whatever. So let's expand this to the left. We'll expand this to the right. We can pull this up top. And then now you're looking at a very dramatic view of the building. So what we've effectively done is we changed our depth of field. So we're looking at this thing through more of like a fisheye lens almost. Okay, we're overly accentuating the geometry of the building in a very Zaha Hadidi kind of way. Except she does it in a really crazy creative way. We just did it in a very lame technical way. But anyway, we're making it look good. So so anyway, that's what I'm talking about with the drama of the view. We can zoom in and out of that again. We can look a little higher, but if we wanted to kind of fine tune it again and get more solid data, we can change our eye elevation to again go down to like that 3-foot height, and then our target elevation up at like 10 feet. And you'll see that it actually modified it a little bit more drastically now that I'm right inside the building. Any questions on that? Okay, so that is how you create the 3D view, but when I place it on the sheet, it's a different thing. So that created 3D view 2. So I'm going to take 3D view 2 and drop it on the sheet, and you'll see that it's really kind of small. If you want if you want to resize it, you might think. Let me move this out of the way. Actually, do we have a no viewport? Ooh, that's got to be our next video. How to create new view titles. Okay. So, but anyway, for now, just move it out of the way, and let's take a look at this thing. So we want it to be a little bit bigger. It doesn't have to be super big, but I need to change the size of this thing. But when I'm inside the view, you might realize that there isn't really a view scale, right? There isn't any 1/8 inch equals a foot, or 1/4 inch equals a foot, or 1 to 20, whatever. We need to manually set exactly how large we want this thing to be. So if you select this, you go to, I believe it was size crop. Yeah, that's it. And we can redefine what the width of this thing is going to be. So if it currently is 12 and 11/16, we want it to be about, I'm guessing 1.5 maybe width, like 1.5 times what its current width is. So let's go to just something like, let's just start off with 16 inches. Oh, not that actually. Oh, sorry, I know what I did wrong. We actually want to expand this to a certain dimension if we want, and then we actually have to zoom in. That's what I wanted to do. So you can just kind of zoom in and start modifying things that way. I thought there was a scalar function for this now that I'm thinking of it though. Ah, yeah, sorry, I recall. Let me go back. That's not what I wanted to do. You can zoom this, you can scale out the crop region, that's fine. Oh, no, sorry, don't do that. I keep lying to you. I apologize. It's been a while since I've used this. Go to size crop, and I want you to do the scale change, not field of view change, right? Because I mentioned that you changed your field of view before, and that's what made it like Zaha Hadidi. I actually know her name is Hadid. I'm saying it's Zaha Hadid-ish by saying Zaha. Yeah, anyway, you get it. So go to scale and change the width then to something like 16 inches. And when you kind of click off of that, you'll see that the height changes as well. Okay. So when you hit OK, it's going to just make it bigger. Okay. So do something like that. Get it to fit nicely the way that you want it to fit. And then when you're done, you can turn off your crop region, and you've got the building in that view. Any other questions? It's probably the most thoroughly I've explained anything the first pass through with you guys so far. So it might be a lot of information for you to retain. If you need me to touch on anything again, I will.